This week we introduce you to Rockford Williams. Listen in as Rocky shares his introduction to the boxing world and how it led him into the world of iron, jiu-jitsu, and personally turning that passion into a career for coaching others on their own personal fitness journeys. Finally, this episode is sponsored by Torque Strength and Conditioning. Torque Strength and Conditioning is a great place to work out and offers a variety of programs. And we hope you enjoy the podcast.
We're happy to have you back for another episode of the Iron Huddle. We're lucky enough to have Tyler Ryder here with myself and Rocky as our guest.
Peace, brothers.
And self-claims he doesn't know much about anything, but I think he's going to divulge away from that. And so the way that I met you, and then Tyler knows you as far as I know, is honestly you're a trainer here at Torque Barbell.
Absolutely.
How did that come to be that you started training here?
That was actually it was a Craigslist ad, if I'm not mistaken.
It was.
Yeah. I can't remember the two previous owners.
Yeah, it was my business partners.
Okay.
It was Greg Denunzio and his wife Leslie.
Yes, absolutely. Cool people, definitely cool people. I responded to a Craigslist ad. At the time, they were doing a format that was a kind of a cycling format, if I'm not mistaken. It was kind of like a cycling fusion. So I came in, I met them, I met Tyler. Of course, he saw that I wore a lot of rings.
Yep, so right away I'm like, we're hiring him.
And the rest is history, man. I mean, I came in, I started doing that format, and I knew right away that the community was good, the people super cool, but we're going to kind of change the programming up a little bit, and Tyler was kind enough to,
Well, yeah, I knew I wanted to go a different direction, because that was at the time when Orange Theory was starting to take off.
Sure.
And Greg and Leslie, they've been talks to them wanting to get bought out, and I didn't want to have the same shit that everyone else did, and it turned into something really cool. So
absolutely,
yeah.
and it's been great.
And how long have you been here now for?
This is the fourth year.
Fourth year,
Oh, very
it's
nice.
the fourth year.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we'll go into more about your philosophy, your training, and what you bring to the table here. But let's talk about you a little bit before that. Were you always in personal training? Did you go to school for it? How did that come? Were you an athlete before all this? Kind of what's your story?
I'm not really an athlete. I guess I played sports. I dabbled, I did a little basketball, I did some football, mostly elementary. I even played hockey, but I wasn't really that interested in team sports. I did some boxing when I was a little younger, but that was pretty brief.
Okay.
I think the first time that I felt competitive, I started lifting a little, but it was just, bro shit. I didn't, I was at the gym. My mission was to get big. I was a young man. And I worked at a gym. I worked at Lifetime Fitness in St. Paul. And so I just, my whole thing was, I'm going to eat, get big, But from there, I kind of switched directions and I got into running, distance running, and I fell in love with that. So my body completely changed and my mind completely changed about how I was approaching things. But it really all changed when I got into jiu-jitsu. I know we spoke about that a little earlier. And I was a younger dude, but I was kind of at a crossroads as far as how do I want to approach my training? What makes the most sense to make me good at this? Because, I get hooked on things, and I did at that time. And the lift, I was always having trouble with guys that had really good muscular endurance and movement of the hips. It was a movement thing, and it wasn't like anything that I knew. I couldn't prepare for it. But that kind of made me get into more calisthenics and other things that I thought I just kind of explored from there. And tried to adopt these different principles that I thought might help me at this one thing. And I was interested in some other stuff too. As a young dude, I was kind of into the b-boys and breakdance. And I wasn't great at it by any means, but I loved the control that they had. That was one thing. I was like, holy shit.
A lot of balance there too.
Balance, control, core strength.
Yeah, for sure. That's something one of our buddies, he's a power lifter.
Yeah.
James. He actually does breakdancing on the side.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a strong little dude. But
He was
it's
a
cool.
guest with us too, but after a big lift or even like for him bringing it and giving it back to the community, he'll get together, invite a bunch of friends together, and they'll have like breakdancing nights.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. Yeah,
that's super cool, man. And I grew up a hip hop head always, so that's I was definitely into that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then back to your jiu-jitsu period real quickly here. You said you had some challenges against different body structures and types. Was that something that during that time was good for you though to learn more about yourself too, as far as what you're able to do physically, and then obviously mentally get through some things and figure out kind of what did you gain from jiu-jitsu, I guess is my question.
It's crazy, man, because I don't think you think about everything before when you approach something like that or anything, that you're going to dedicate yourself to. A lot of times you just go into it thinking, I want to defend myself, or whatever it might be, and then you get in there and you find out that these sorts of things are something completely different. It's your mind, but it's also your body. It's where you're at personally in your life, how much tension and stress and whatever else. I mean, all of these things, they seem like variables when you're in that. You know what I mean? Because there's a thought process behind it. It's you're conditioning yourself, and you're kind of dropping your ego. When you're getting fucked up, when people are fucking you up, and there's no denying it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? What are you gonna do? You either face yourself and go, I'm gonna get better, I'm gonna relax, I'm gonna learn in this environment, I'm gonna change the way I approach this, or I'm just gonna leave because I'm upset about the fact that I can't stop getting smashed and this dude is wiping the floor with me.
Yep.
So it teaches you a lot to be confident, but to be humble, man. Just be humble. Relax a little bit, man. Flow with the thing. This is here for you to flow with, for you to build, your character, yourself, your endurance, your strength, all of that. But you can't fake it.
That's something I love. I don't know shit about jiu-jitsu, but anything, or anytime I've met someone or even listened to it, like, Joe Rogan's big on it.
Absolutely.
My man, Maynard James Keenan, is totally religion to me. It's something they always, I dropped it. Shake your head.
Absolutely.
But the huge thing is they always talk about how much it teaches them something within life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's one thing I think people, it's not about fighting. It's not about combat. For some people, maybe.
For sure.
But most of them who get it, they take those kind of lessons from it, which I think is amazing.
Absolutely, man. It opens you up. I mean, like I said, it opens you up forcibly. You've come into this situation. You said, okay, I'm gonna apply myself. Now you're in the middle of it, and whatever happens. And the bottom line is, if you're walking in and you have no experience in it, you're getting smashed. There is no, I don't care who you are, baddest dude, it doesn't matter. I've never seen anybody come in as a white belt and handle the black belt. It just doesn't go down like that. So immediately, there's levels, there are steps, there's progress that has to be made, and it has to be made mentally too, because once you let it go that you're not the man, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to get tapped out 30 times. Every single time I get on the mat, I get tapped out 10 times. The thing is I don't care anymore. Yeah. Who cares? It's for me. It's for me to release, to push myself further than I thought I could push myself, to relax when I need to relax, to explode when I need to explode, and then that's that. You know what I mean? It's gonna do what it does.
And that's gravely important, because that's growth, right?
It's growth.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're learning in that environment, and I think that's what we were able to benefit being in team sports. In football, is you get humbled every single day, whether it's not only on the field but in film by your coaches, or you know what I mean? For sure. Which you have to, at some point, you just get better and you keep pushing away.
Absolutely.
You're going to get your ass kicked sometimes. You're going to kick someone's ass the other, and it's just about 100%. Coming back, consistency, and doing.
Yeah. Did you win or did you learn?
Exactly.
If you lose, don't put the ego aside. Learn from it.
Absolutely.
Man. I think you can always learn. No matter what situation I was in, if the guy that came in, he was brand new, then you practice your timing, or you practice, your speed, because he's not going to be able to he can't see the moves coming, So you can practice different things, and you're against a guy that's much better at you. Obviously, you're going to be working on that defense. How do I avoid this? So there's always something to learn.
And I think that's the next mindset too, when you as an athlete, or in any field, but especially when you're going to get something competitive, where it's a team sport or one-on-one, or just training every day in practice. When you have the mindset going in, knowing, hey, I'm probably gonna have something bad happen to me today, but it's worth going in there and getting better.
For sure.
That's the best thing you accept, and then you're able to get over it and move on quicker. Where if someone else, something takes them off their path they're never expecting, sometimes can't recover from that. And being able to recover and get past what isn't expected because of the mindset you're already going in is so deep in all competitive sports.
For sure, man. And really, you realize that there's a process. If you got to face the fact that there's a process, and you're either at the beginning, you are where you are, but the process remains the same. You're not jumping the line. You're not coming in special. You got to handle your business like everybody else handles their business.
That's the interesting thing too. Is like with any sport or whatever, if you're training, football, basketball, it doesn't matter. I think it's always the aftermath is where you respect the process, but when you're in it, you hate it.
Of course. I mean, sometimes it's just painful.
Right.
A lot of times it's just painful.
Yeah.
So, depending on who you are, it's even being able to handle that. Some people, they just can't handle that.
Well, we've had that as coaches, like someone who needs something, and it's not even just pain, discomfort, or like they get uncomfortable. They aren't even willing to go there, ever, and that's why they are where they're at.
Yeah.
And they'll never get out of that spot, no matter what it's mentally, physically, until they're able to break through that barrier.
And I'm definitely guilty of that, settling into those comfort zones and
definitely
hanging out there.
I think it's a mindset too, where you have to ask yourself, when you're walking into whatever the workout or a jiu-jitsu gym or a competitive meet or game is, are you willing to be broken? Are you willing to respond? And I think that's huge that you were able to get that from jiu-jitsu, and probably not, like you said, going with that mindset, but it develops because you come to that situation where it's hell or high water. You got to get through it, or you leave.
Definitely.
I mean, I feel like every class is that way. We all step in. We know that it's going to be challenging. It has to be challenging. That's it.
And do you want to talk a little bit about what you teach here? Because I've seen you do a million different things.
Oh,
and
man.
we could. No, it's good. Let's break down kind of what your philosophy is as a trainer, and kind of run with it. We'll just go from there. So.
Absolutely. So, I would say that if I were to break down what I would consider the style, and this is no disrespect to any of the styles or modalities or whatever you want to call them, practices. Traditional calisthenics, I would say, is the first thing that really got me into fitness, into having a goal about what I wanted my body to look like and the way that I wanted to do it. And I saw dudes doing it mostly on a lot of YouTube stuff,
Sure.
Hannibal for King was the main dude. These were guys that they were on the street, they had this bar, but what they were doing was good. I mean, they were professional with it. They knew what they were doing, So I thought that was fantastic. I really started getting into calisthenics, moving my body weight around more because it was convenient, and it sort of replicated the movement or it was the closest to replicating the movement that I was feeling kind of on the mat. But then that opened me up to, other things. And like I said, there's a lot of warm-ups maybe that we would do in jiu-jitsu, a lot of things that I thought would benefit hip mobility, core strength, which I can't emphasize enough, man. Like, strength of your core is extremely important. It has to have you train your core. Core stability is extremely important. So I would use a lot of, different warm-ups that we did. Again, going back to the B-boys, a lot of stuff that I saw from them, even if it was just kick-outs, CCs, these sorts of things, taught you control of your hips and your core, man. It's maybe a little gymnastics here and there, as we do use the rings and we do some of that work. But then there's other influences, like capoeira is kind of an influence. Different dance styles are kind of an influence. Primitive movement, these guys that are doing all these animal crawls are kind of an influence. And then you guys are an influence. It's like we don't use the barbell so much, but even the things that with bringing in the sandbags, to me that's huge. That is a beautiful tool to use, because this it's different. Moving that weight around is different. Obviously, it takes different shape. It wants to move you in different ways, and because of that, you have to be stable. And because you have to be stable, you'll train that core.
Yeah. And it sounds like, from my perspective, hearing you talk about that, is that within your training, what you appreciate most and require most of this is self-awareness within the motion. You're not just doing it to get through a 10 rep set. You have to be in tune with your body to effectively create, a tension that's there to do it appropriately.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, everything is form, and we're doing everything strict. I mean, when I first came here, I'd never heard of kipping. That's no disrespect. I've never witnessed it. I didn't know what it was. At first, like they were saying kicking, and pull-ups or dips or anything, any sort of work, the muscle up. Like I'd never seen that before. And so we really only learned it one way. It, was strict form, and there was, progression, and you started off with that form, which was a looser form, and then eventually as your pull got stronger, your push got stronger, it was a stricter form. But there wasn't really this other way, of doing it. So a lot of the emphasis is just on, strict controlled movement. But doing that when it's necessary, when the pull is necessary, really using the lats. Even all the time we're using our core. We're long, our pull is proper, shoulders back, whatever it might be. Same thing when we're pressing into the floor. But then again, we use a lot of explosive movement too, a lot of sit-throughs, a lot of jumps, so there's a lot of plyo going on. And the combination of those things, mixing in, like you said, a lot of holding. So it's static, and then it's explosive, and then but it's also proper. I don't know if that helps
it does.
You understand.
It's really good.
I'm just talking shit.
No, it's literally just the opposite. I don't want to say the opposite, but it's a lot of the stuff people just don't do. Like
I've realized that.
Yeah.
Because
we'd like to do the pretty shit, or the Instagram savvy stuff of a lot of weight, a lot of barbells, muscle ups, a lot of, hey, I did fucking 30 kipping pull-ups. But you take a look at how you do your training with the athletes, and it's amazing to see where they start and then where they're at 6 months, a year, 2 years later, and their bodies change immensely.
I have seen a change. That's true, man. That's been amazing. And it's really just about consistency with those people and being willing to start your pull-up off at that point in front of everybody and be okay with it.
That's something we talk about all the time. Like, no, don't give up training wheels or a crutch. Fuck the band.
Yeah, just
pull up.
Relax.
Start with where the tension lies. If it's short range of motion or you can't get your chin above the bar, who cares?
It's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I tell every time, it's like once we have our hands in that proper position, knuckles at the highest point, we engage those lats. If you pull as hard as you can and your pull gets you 3 inches higher than you currently are, that is your range. How are you going to pull higher than that if you can't pull higher than that? It's over. That's okay. So you work within that range with that proper pulling, and maybe 6 months down the line, maybe a year down the line. I don't know.
It's going to take as long as it takes.
But if you keep this happening, that pull happening, eventually it will get higher, and then it will get higher, and then it will get higher. And then a muscle up will be a pull from a dead hang, a full pull-up chest to bar, control over the bar into a low bar dip all the way. And this becomes the range of motion. Some people can just push their hips up high enough. The pull is strong enough to get them to that point. So we want to get there that way. I don't want to get there any other way. So yeah, it is amazing. Maybe I got off track there, but it is amazing to see where people start, and people that are consistent work that range of motion, and then they get to, where they are. And of course we're all growing and we're all still working, and nobody's path is, there's nothing complete. The mission is not over with, but we're just traveling.
And I think that's a great lead into my next question, is that, the way that you're able to, as a client or someone working with you, to gain that confidence from being able to do a 3-inch gain on a pull-up to an actual full range of motion pull-up is insane. And you explain it to them, might be part of how you build their trust. But I was going to ask you next, I see you in here on Saturday mornings, and it's very intimidating walking with gym alone as it is, right? With all these people working hard. And then as you as a trainer, when you got tattoos and rings and a beard and look kind of scary, and yet you have females working with, and you got boxing gloves this morning, and females are boxing with you. How do you build that trust with the client to have them so much confidence in what you're doing and themselves to be able to box with someone like yourself? How do you quantify that?
I think just like with any relationship, man, it's important the way that you approach people. I mean, first of all, I know how I look, and I know even sometimes the way that I feel when I'm speaking, and I speak passionately when we're training, because I do expect people to work hard. I don't, you know what I'm saying? No
Absolutely.
matter what we're doing, I do expect that effort, and I don't want to see you not making that move. So, I mean, but that's a different story. As far as the relationship with people go, man, just be sincere, transparent. I'm not here to force anybody to do something they don't want to do. It's not my business how you train. If you want to come to class, you should come to class, but just understand that I expect this effort from you. If you don't want to train that way, that's entirely up to you. But just know that when you're here, I have your best interests at heart, man. I'm not trying to make you get to any place quicker than you need to get there. Period. You know what I mean? So we don't have to worry about that. It's one class at a time. We're gonna come in here. I expect that energy for that hour. You expect that from me. You expect that from one another, right? We're done when we're done. So it's not, you know, and as far as boxing goes, we use that movement. We use it for openings. We use it to learn how to use our feet to move around, hand-eye coordination, some of these useful lessons that you can find in many different sports. And we use that to work out, man, but we're not trying to hit one another. And so being cool with your training partner is one thing, obviously, and not getting to a point where there's anything to prove, man. That's the ego, we gotta just relax. There's not, the tough guy shit is not here. We don't need to do it. Nobody's the boss. We're gonna come in here and put this grind down, and then we're gonna walk away. And it's all good. There doesn't have to be any tension, any feelings of stress. You definitely shouldn't be worried about your safety with me, and you shouldn't have to worry about your safety with any other training partner. That's your partner. It's, you know, it's all, we're all here for the same thing, to put that work in, man. So as far as me and them go, you know, as people, I'm just going to treat them with respect, man. You know, let them know what I need from them, and then hopefully be open to receiving, you know, any criticism or answering any questions or being there if they need something from me as much as I can.
Yeah, and I think for me personally, the most effective thing that I took from everything you explained there is the expectations, because whether it's me as a student working with somebody or me as a coach working with somebody, in multiple athletes, right? To know that my expectations from Jimmy is for Jimmy to reach his expectations, whereas Johnny, he may not be as skilled as an athlete as the other person,
100%.
But if that person can meet their expectations,
absolutely,
and what you expect from them and vice versa, that's, to understand that is hugely important, because when you're asking from everybody to reach the same level in a certain amount of time, is never going to happen.
No,
absolutely, it won't.
Everyone has their own path,
and they all do. And in here, I don't know what the level even is. What do we? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Just come in and have fun and move, and then whatever happens from there happens from there. The most important thing to me is that you can take this and use it. You know, does it make your core a little stronger? Then if you are lifting and you've been neglecting your core up until that point, maybe it gives you just a little bit more. I don't know. But I hope that it will. You know, that's the goal. That's my goal personally, is how do we get you to get to a point where that shit becomes a little easier for you, or you're a little more efficient with your energy when you're breathing and whatever it might be. You know, we've been working a lot with breathing.
You know, from a kinesiology standpoint, you're working different planes that are never worked in lifting, ever. So much transverse, and that's the stuff we don't work enough of. We say we do, but then we do simple little movements,
sure,
you know, to try and combat that. But the way you do it, it's actually, to me, way more transferable.
Thank you. I agree, man. You know, and that's one thing I think in every class is we're not moving in a straight line. You know, we're going to be moving forward, backward, but we're definitely moving laterally, and we're almost always going to be exploring torque, how we turn those hips over to get strength. You know what I mean? How we can get a good sweep, turn our hips over for a knee, whatever it might be. No matter what it is, if you are boxing, all of that strength is from the rotation of your hips. You know, so learning how to use them, how to move them, how to stay off of that straight line and that sort of, you know, like you said, man, you're not there's gotta be some variety as far as, how you're moving, definitely.
Especially when that's where, to me, it's where overuse injuries or imbalances, deficiencies set in because you do the same shit over and over and over.
Sure.
So it's all about
and
balance.
within these movements too that you're teaching them in the gym, obviously, for these type of things. But have you heard, some feedback from your clients that they're now able to do things around the house and with daily activity with their kids that carries over to daily life? Is that part of the reason you do some of the stuff you do that way?
100%. Because a lot of the people that are coming in aren't athletes. Some are, but some aren't. And so this is just a matter of them getting up, getting mobile, setting something on the top shelf, whatever that might be, but executing properly. So I mean, yeah, absolutely. Whether that's picking up kids, whether that's moving things, whether they're lighter on their feet, whether their range of motion is just a little bit better. And I do definitely understand that when I say a little better, a lot of times we're talking about over 2 years.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, these people have been coming consistently, and I won't say any names, but there's people that are coming consistently, and then we're talking about a first year, there's very little change. Or maybe it's 6 months as far as one particular goal, but overall, yeah, I think it's just better, and it helps me. If I didn't do it for a living, I would fucking slack. So to me, it holds me accountable. I'm in here because I know that they expect me to do that as well. But yeah, to answer the question, I have heard that. And that's a lot more. I mean, which brings a tear to my eye.
Yeah.
I mean, that's everything.
That's why we do what we do. It's not
Absolutely.
like we make a whole lot of money doing being a coach.
No. But you will make an impact and you will change things. And I think a lot of times when you're sincere, it'll open up other doors. So, the bread will come. It's just, it's the relationship first. People have to be able to trust what you're doing, man. You can't just be out here, talking shit and not putting in the work and not handling business and then expect everybody to do what you say.
Exactly.
You have to be an example. We're coming here to work together. These are my training partners. Every time we step in here, we're all accountable, including myself. And I'm guilty of fucking slacking. But when I'm consistent, I know I feel good when I'm going through all of the movement. And that's how I know my knees are okay, my shoulders are okay. I'm moving. I'm light on my feet. My core is engaged all the time. I'm pressing away on the floor. I'm moving the way I want to move. I'm controlling it.
And I think everything you said there, that hit me the most on that too was greatly important, was the time it takes to reach some of those small goals. And the retention rate that you've built as a gym and the relationship you've built as trainers with these people that come back year, not month after month, but year after year.
Sure.
Let's be honest, there's a million gyms all around us they can go
Sure.
to, but they choose to continue to come back to this place to get better. And with you specifically right now talking about what you teach, that's got to be really grateful for you to know that they keep coming back to you and keep seeing progress.
I love absolutely. I mean, I love it. This is what I do. It's everything, We had a huge class this morning. There's coaches in there. I mean, just to share that energy is positive for all of us. It's definitely good for me. But rewarding that 100% is definitely, it's rewarding. It's everything, It's everything.
And what do you, as you continually learn yourself, is there other things that you want to kind of embark on yet, obviously, in the training world, or things that you want to try to continue to bring to your clients? Are you kind of set with what you're doing right now? What's your mindset on that?
I mean, never set, never set. I don't even like to think like I'm good, I'm never good. I'm definitely aging, you know what I mean? But we're all heading in the same direction. As far as things I want to do, there's a lot of shit I want to do. I mean, specifically athletically, I would definitely like to get back into grappling regularly. I really do miss it. But you know what? We've been having the mats, and people are coming in and they're learning it, and they're having fun with it. So to me, it's like, man, I kind of brought it with me a little bit. We still get to, maybe it's not at the highest level, whatever. We get to sharpen our swords a little bit and just, we get to get into that flow. And to me, it's not so much the top guys right now. It's putting yourself in a different frame of mind where we can flow with this becomes open, and I really do feel like that changes the way the approach changes the actual movement. And maybe that sounds like some bullshit, like, you know, mysticism. I mean, I feel like when you're open with it and you can just roll with it, man, you're gonna have a better outcome.
I think most athletes know what that's like when they feel it. We talk about the flow state quite a bit, just in different,
absolutely,
you know, with football or whatever, but that's something, once you know what it is, you can't explain it.
For sure. You can't. I mean, it is what it is. I just want everybody to get to that, you know, to use that, to experience it, to know what it feels like. And maybe that doesn't, I just feel like when you're on the mat, you tend to get there a little quicker, but we can get there with the jump rope too, man. For sure, we can definitely get there with the jump rope. We can get there on the bar. We can get there. Just be open with it. Be free. Put that work in. Put that time in. Yeah, but I mean, there's a few things I would like to do. I want my body to look better. I want to feel better. I want to get stronger. You know, I want 100 muscle ups instead of 10. There's a lot of,
now you're getting greedy.
I know, but yeah, for sure. But it's out there, and I'm not mad at it. It gives me something to train for, which is put the next rep in solidly, and if it's one more than it was yesterday, we're progressing, man. Never stop. We just keep it moving.
So nutrition wise for you, being a leaner guy, and needing the cardio aspect in pretty much every workout I've seen you do, are you on any sort of specific nutrition plan, or just kind of go with it? What's your kind of mindset there?
I tend to switch it up, but I will say that I keep it fairly clean, man. Okay. I really do. I mean, there's very little junk food, but I kind of believe in the 80-20 thing, man. If most of the time I'm good about it, and I'm conscious and I'm aware of what I'm doing, then I'll be okay. You know, I can have that fun. And I've been a little looser even lately, because I would kind of put myself through that, you know, all the time, where I'm super tight, or I want to get leaner and then I want to get bigger. But I don't know, man. I'm 35. I just want to move well and look good. And I do supplement quite a bit. I mean, I supplement with zinc. I use some adaptogenic herbs, ashwagandha. I definitely use creatine. I definitely use protein. Yeah, and I watch these videos, man. Some of these, you don't supplement shit. You're 250 straight pure muscle. You don't supplement at all, huh, brother? Okay.
Well, I mean, it's a supplement. They just talk about what it actually is.
Yeah.
Pure genetics,
pure
genetics. We're not going to talk about the other stuff.
For sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. I mean, for me, keep it lean. You know,
Okay.
I keep it. It's mostly rice, vegetables, and meat.
Simple and simply digestive, right?
Yeah, eggs. I mean, I eat a lot of eggs, but I do eat a lot of white rice. I eat a lot of ground beef. I eat a lot of ground turkey, but I also eat a lot of salad, you know, kale. Micronutrients, I think, are super important. So I try to get my greens in there. Outside of that, I just try to take in as little sugar as possible. That's one thing. I do really try to avoid a lot of extra sugar.
Yeah, it's amazing how that's something I've been battling. I'm actually doing keto.
Oh, how's it
right
going,
now?
brother?
Not bad. No, it's actually good, but
Nice.
because of like sugar addiction, I didn't know how bad it was all of a sudden until you pull it out.
Hell
Your
yeah,
glycogen's
man.
gone.
Oh
Hell yeah.
Try to get glycogen stores gone so that I can go back to slowly come back. But yeah, you hit a huge thing. I think most people don't realize how addicted they are to sugar or caffeine. I know you, Mad Dog, are.
I quit caffeine about a month ago, and I feel better than I ever have.
Nice.
I got natural energy again. When Stan Efford, when he was in here talking us with the vertical diet, that was kind of his point to everybody was, if you got to get up for a workout with caffeine, then you're not naturally excited, and you probably shouldn't be lifting. But understandably, we've all been taking caffeine forever. And for me, it was more of a thing where I just felt I was too reliant on it throughout my day. And so I just quit cold turkey, and I feel a month later now I have more energy than I ever have as a kid again, right?
Yeah.
But that was my next question to you. Are you a big caffeine guy?
When you were using caffeine regularly, was it coffee or a
It
supplement
was
like
energy
pre-work?
drinks. I love those Celsius ones with bangs.
Sure.
Yeah.
As far as caffeine goes, man, I've never really had a relationship with it, to be honest.
Gotcha.
I've never had a cup of coffee in my entire life.
Really?
That's
I've
awesome.
Never had.
Yeah, stay with
not,
that's
I mean, I don't.
Not so many
know,
people
I
can
just
say
never
that, though.
had,
Yeah.
I wasn't into it. But I've also never had a full beer in my entire life.
Really?
Yeah, which is kind of crazy too.
Do
Right?
you not drink
Tyler's like,
alcohol
pussy.
What's wrong with this guy?
Yeah. Hold him down.
Yeah, we're gonna put this in
I'm
his
just
gullet.
specific about my taste, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Do you not drink alcohol either then?
I do enjoy red wine.
Okay.
And I definitely went through a period where I just drank, but I was just young and foolish.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I definitely like red wine. That's my drink of choice.
Okay.
When I am using it. But yeah. I mean, that along with cannabis, I definitely taken a fair share of my fair share of cannabis.
Okay.
So I don't know. Where's that?
We could talk about that all day.
Is that medical that you're getting, or is it
Yeah, it's medical. Yeah, for sure.
Gotcha. But does that help you stay relaxed, recover from workouts too?
I'll tell you this, man.
Yeah.
I've never had a pre-workout. I mean, outside of the creatine and the things that I talked about, which is minerals, micronutrients, those herbs. I'll supplement with those. But outside of that, man, as far as a pre-workout, a post-workout, weed.
Yeah.
Weed.
It's daily for you though. Helps you relax,
daily.
right?
And during the day, if I'm moving around, if I'm doing my thing, something a little lighter. When I'm ready to hit, go to bed, and I'm coming down, I'm coming back from that workout, and it's time to relax, maybe something heavier. But definitely daily. And coming in and out of the gym, man, I don't know. I feel like it's a must. It just helps. I feel relaxed, and it's funner.
Yeah.
That's the thing too.
If
I don't
you
know
enjoy
if we
it,
talk, dude. That's so important, man. You have to enjoy this shit too, man.
Well, things are changing with that, like across the board.
All
Like sports, states, everyone. And I know people who, it helps center them. They're less stressed.
Oh, yeah,
appetite.
absolutely.
I mean, the list goes on. I don't know the science. I'm not the one to talk to about that.
Me neither.
But if it helps your life make you better, and it doesn't, we're not talking about fucking. To me, cannabis isn't even a drug.
And you're not harmfully impacting others, and you're feeling better. That's
fuck yeah. What's the harm?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, it's just relaxation and a little more enjoyment, man. 'Cause like I said, if you come in here and it's not that I'm stressed, I really don't deal with much stress, which is another topic, maybe for a later date. But stress, just getting rid of stress. Come on into the spot, man, and relax, flow with us. And get rid of some of that stress at home, man. You know what I mean? That's a big thing, I think, for a lot of people that are coming here too, is they just want to release.
I think you nailed that on the head. That's something I've told people. I've always wanted this place, or at any gym. Doesn't matter if to be at this gym. Your gym should be somewhere where you can release that.
Yeah.
Have fun, 100%. Or like you need a day. Let's release it. Let's
Absolutely.
go. That's what that should be.
Absolutely.
Always.
100%, man. And you should enjoy every minute of it.
Hell yeah.
And just because it's painful doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it.
Hell yeah.
You can definitely enjoy it and be in pain at the same time.
Yeah.
some days you need PRs in those days.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. When you don't even know they're coming.
Days where you just have to let all that out of your body. And
Absolutely.
do you have any other ways you like to release stress besides coming here? Is there anything else you do in life that kind of besides the cannabis in here?
I mean, there's a lot. I definitely, I do. I make music. So production there. I graduated from a recording arts school. So as a youngster, I was always into music, making music, and so I was into definitely like acoustical design.
Oh wow.
And some engineering. Like I really kind of wanted to do the master engineering, master editing. I don't know if those are proper terms, but I wanted to mix. I enjoyed mixing, so that was my whole thing, recording and mixing. So I did even worked a little bit as an engineer on a couple people's projects, just whatever.
Do you still do that now? Or?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, yeah,
I do.
nice.
I still record. I still like to make music. I still like to, do those types. I also like to build. I like to physically build. I like woodwork. I'm not very good at it, but I like to make shit.
Yeah.
Usually I'm in motion, I'm making shit. If it's right now it's at the house. I had a $0 budget, and we wanted to do the kitchen and do the basement and all of this shit. But I ended up finding this mattress company that was throwing away all these pallets, but they would bring their mattresses. They were the manufacturer, so they would bring all their parts in from Asia, from Southeast Asia. So they would have these pallets we found out were made of teak.
Oh.
I know, on a fucking pallet. They were all rough and chopped up, but I took them home, so I ended up doing like 80% of my house in this teak because I didn't want to waste it. It was free, and it would come in these long strips. So I did like some wainscoting, and my entire ceiling is kind of crazy.
That shit's not cheap,
dude. Are you kidding me?
That shit's not cheap,
and it's so hard. I mean, like it's hard.
Yeah, I know enough
with.
about wood, but like that stuff you can't come by in the States.
It's expensive as shit.
Yeah, here it's just another thing.
Yeah,
but here in the States, like that's a expensive commodity.
And we think it's teak. I mean, that's what the guy was telling me. But it's nice, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't make any floors out of it because it was just so gnarly and so hard to work with. But it's definitely cool.
So did you make an island or countertop out of it too, or?
You know what? My whole kitchen, I got on Craigslist. A guy, a coach that was working at a high school. I think they were from Harding, if I'm not mistaken. This was years ago now, but he had all of these sections of basketball court that he cut into, big sections 4x8, and then he gave them to me. He was giving them away for free. But I'll tell you what, man, the clear coat on those things. It's unbelievable. Yeah. They must put 30 fucking coats on there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane. Because I stripped it twice, sanded it. I went through sheets and sheets and sheets of sandpaper, could not get that shit off. It was so thick. Finally got everything down and then made all my countertops out of this beautiful maple. And it still has the lines.
Does it really? Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. They're not colored because I took them out, but they still are in the wood, you know?
Yeah. That's a cool story behind the fact, too. Like,
yeah.
Hustle and fight, and probably bounce your oranges off there whenever you want to, like a basketball.
Absolutely, man. For
right
sure.
To the sink.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
You got a lot going on, man. Holy cow.
My life is fairly busy.
You got a wife and kids at home?
I do. You know, I've been married since kindergarten.
All right.
I've known my wife since we were in fucking kindergarten, man. It's crazy.
That's
really?
Wow,
that's
shit.
great,
I've known her since kindergarten, and we went to elementary school together. It's nuts. So we were kind of like elementary sweethearts. Her dad is a DJ, and they would kind of travel, and then she lived in Puerto Rico for a while, and we'd always like link back up, you know, when she came back around type of thing. And we were always friends. We always stayed in contact the entire time. And when we were like 17, 18, we left. We got our first apartment together. I was 17. Yeah, we were both 17. And the rest is history, man. We got married early. I have a 14-year-old son now and a 10-year-old daughter, which is insane.
Yeah. Damn.
But they're
I knew they were older. But
crazy.
I suppose when you first came in, he was only 10 or 9 or 10.
Exactly.
So
and
she was
she was probably 6 or whatever.
Yep.
But man, they're fantastic. So that's all good. My life is full. You know, I train a lot. That's what I do with my time. I train and build, hang out with my family, make music when I want. I mean, a charmed life. This shit is a breeze, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I can't even complain. When I think about it, I'm just like, this shit is...
Well, you see people are happy, they do the things that they're passionate about and they love to do.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, it's not that... It's like, I love that... You don't have to call it minimalist lifestyle or whatever, but they don't go after the things that they don't fucking need. Mm-hmm. They go after the things that make them feel good.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
And this is right here. I mean, this is where it's at. Rolling around on the floor with these guys.
Not because you have to, because you want to.
Yeah, of course.
Because I fucking want to.
Yeah, for real, man.
That's great.
For sure. So, that's, they take up a lot of all that. That's my time.
That's why you're so grounded. You've been the same woman forever.
Thank you.
That's everything. That's huge.
Yeah, that's good. You don't hear of that anymore.
No.
I can't believe,
That's good. Rare. That's rare, though. Yeah, that's good.
Here we are in our 30s, they're mad dog, and we don't got shit going on.
Yeah,
besides this
whole
well, family-wise, or
back to you.
Bad love lives. Anyways.
I hate that bitch. All your secrets come out.
Yeah. So we're single for a lot of reasons.
I shouldn't have said that.
No, you're good, man.
I think the last, what was her name again? She wanted to come on and do like a dating thing with us, like
Sweat with Jess.
Yeah, Sweat with Jess. Jess wanted to come on and talk.
She said that to me too, and I'm like, we're probably the worst guys.
It would be.
We don't want those.
We don't want to talk about dating. Yeah,
entertaining as heck. We could let her run it.
We're way too stubborn.
Yeah, it would.
It would not be good.
For sure.
Wait for the right one to come along. But
Yeah. You just found her early. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know, man, and it worked out. It's not something that I think is for everybody, but I'll tell you this. When you know somebody as a friend and you can hang out with them that way, when you do get into the relationship thing, it's just like I mean, they're together, the same thing, but we can always kind of like fall back on the fact that, that's still my girl, that's still my friend. You know what I mean? I don't have the hate that it seems like some people do, or just, I feel like the situation changes and then you become resentful. And a lot of times you become resentful because maybe you didn't move in a way that you wanted to, or you feel like this person is hindering you. But I feel like a lot of times that's just because there was not really a foundation. You saw them, you were attracted to them, you got together, but then once the dislikes came out, you're like, fuck, I could be with somebody that I feel like I could be a real friend to, or whatever. I don't know. I mean,
you're
you're pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Pretty spot on. Yeah.
Our minds are running right now.
Yeah, right there. I'm like, God, I just explained the last 15 years of my life.
Keep going,
man. Good.
Oh, good. No, I mean, it worked out for us. But
we're gonna start another podcast. Rockford.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do the dating one with him. Jess is out.
We might do both in here just for entertainment factors.
Yeah, no shit.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So so we kind of talked about your philosophies and everything with training.
Yeah.
So is that something, like you said, you've added pieces? Mm-hmm. Like to me the other day, I saw you doing I don't want to say bench press, we were doing floor presses with sandbags. I was tickled. So I just saw that, I'm like, that's awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
But that being said, you're not against incorporating new things at all, but there seems to be a definite style you like to adapt things. Have you, I've noticed over the years how you've done that. Is it kind of like a criteria you go through, or something that just you feel that just fits right? And it's kind of a big question, but you know what I'm saying? Like I'm the same way with how I coach people, so I kind of get it, but there's a process you kind of think about in your head. So
absolutely, and I would say that it's both. Like there definitely is a criteria, but it's also, how does this fit, and how does it fit with the people that I'm in front of right now?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like what's going on right now? Because a lot of times we'll get together, but I'll have something in mind if 1, 2, 3, 4 shows up, you know what I mean? Because maybe we're just at a different level right now, so we can introduce some of these new things. And I think you just kind of have to kind of work it situation by situation. It's circumstantial, I think, in a lot of ways. But no, I'm definitely not opposed to really putting anything in there, as long as, like you said, it fits, it makes sense.
Yeah.
To me, the sand makes sense. I don't know why, but I always bring it back to like a human body, and maybe that's just like the grappling thing. You know what I mean? Where it's like this fold, this being able to press and squeeze and like maneuver this thing, but it wants to come back on top of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's falling through there. It really, to me, promotes stability.
No, it does, and that's why, like, for me, when we brought the sandbags in, and there's a lot of science of why, with the internal torque and everything else, but to me, all of a sudden, once I felt it, like that with, it's like the opposite of a barbell, and I'm like, there's something here.
You mean that it's like always stable?
Yeah, and it's something, it's I've seen people who are, strong as shit, and you hand them a very light sandbag, and they can't even, they can't do shit with it. I'm like, okay, there's something here, like, we're going to point out weaknesses as well, and make sure certain muscles are firing and everything else, and work on deficiencies. Like, that's how my mind went around it. That's what we've had discussions on many times, where those pieces fit together. So, like, me and you talk about tension all the time, and like range of motion, staying with tension, and all those things fit in. So it's cool to see how those things have evolved. Even like I remember about a year ago, my hips were just really tight. I was kind of locked up. I don't know what the fuck happened. I should be doing more of your training, because in like one night he gave me some movements, and the next day my hips were as open as a fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
But as a yogi, at least it felt that way.
Yeah.
So there's definitely that's why I don't think any athlete should be, you should always be open to new movement, no matter what it is. If it helps you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, and I mean, I will say that personally, being here, I mean, you've been a big influence watching different movements, because like I said, man, I will admit that a lot of my exposure was limited. I didn't really know about any lifting, really. Not in this this setting, not where it's being done like that. I didn't know about any of that shit. So just watching the way that you coach, the way that you guys approach it, and how you're training it made a little more sense too. So that opens it back up to go, okay, well, maybe we're not doing that exact movement, but we're gonna target that same thing using this movement that might fit in there, that we can work with a little quicker, maybe, you know what I mean? We don't have to take time and concentrate. So it's like the stuff like the sandbag press is like that, because then it's like everybody can lay on their back and everybody can get this thing loaded up, so we know what that's supposed to feel like.
Yeah.
But even if it's just squeezing it there and releasing it, I don't care. It's getting your shoulders down and getting your pecs, and even knowing what that begins to feel like. Because I know we had this conversation the other day too. It was like, for some of us, man, like when there's no awareness of what that even means, it's hard to even understand how to sometimes convey that. You know, how do I tell somebody about their glutes when I know that they don't even know what that even means?
Yeah, they're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
They know, well, exactly, they work.
You're like, no, they fucking don't.
Exactly, right. Yeah. And so it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, well, then you get like specific. Then, you know, so
that's where it's hard, but once you have those moments where you find those tools or know how to,
absolutely,
then all of a sudden, well, for one, you win that trust of the athlete, but then you can actually find more progress.
100%.
And that's cool to see, is how that's evolved. That's the thing we always talk about, movement. Me and you, as far as training, couldn't be further away on the spectrum. Like and body types and everything. But it's amazing how I love how, like, you know, we can meet in the middle and talk about
100%
just training and coaching in general.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing I think is rare.
Very
sure.
Like it's 100% rare.
Yeah.
Like, I think me and you are on more same page than I am with most coaches actually.
Which I really appreciate, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.
But that's changed me as a coach for sure. Like you said, year 1, year 2, these are different experiences. Yeah. Now as I'm watching and watching you introduce certain things, and I can, you know, I get better.
Yeah.
Same
here. That's why I know for us, like, I don't know how I would do it, but I'd love to start incorporating some just simple, like you call it primitive.
Yeah, whatever.
But like animal movements, even with our lifters and shit, just have that body awareness to be able to move from A to B and get different planes, or move in different planes, is going to be huge. Because,
for sure,
you know, it's so easy to, like, I'm going to snatch all the time. Yep. I'm going to clean jerk. I'm going to bench. Yep. I'm going to squat. You're moving in the same fucking plane all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you got to move like Rock. But could you imagine all our big asses coming in here and Rock putting us through a class?
It'd be great, just like when you would do. No, it'd be extremely tough. But
yeah,
once you get on a consistent level with it, it'd be like us doing bear crawls back in football. Where the purpose for that was to get your hips open, get your shoulders open,
for sure,
and your core. So that would be actually a really good thing. And did like the crab walks in gym, like all the stuff we used to use. Actually, it's a good way to go about it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think those little movements, whatever you want to call them, basic calisthenic movements, whether you call it primitive crawling or whatever it might be. And I know that there's specific movements in the primitive thing, but I feel like that's kind of its own thing right now or whatever. But as far as sports go, you always need your hips. You always need your fucking shoulders. You always need those things to be open and loose. Like that doesn't change no matter what the sport is.
That's huge. If you don't have joint by joint range of motion, okay, that you can, like, we've all met or seen like a yogi who's can put their fucking knee behind their head, but then you apply a very small load,
force,
and then they fucking crumble, or the other way around.
Sure.
You know, someone who is really tight and strong, but then they don't have the range of motion.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you find that balance? And that's where I think for like bigger, stronger guys like myself and Mad Dog, is having those primitive movements. I think that would help a lot. Sure. Or the opposite, someone who's, you know, has huge flexibility but can't create any tension. Okay, we need to teach you how to create tension.
Let's do some static.
Let's do some, like even just isometric holds.
Absolutely.
Let's just have that muscle win and fucking know how to fire.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I love how, like, training can bleed. I call it bleed, but like how they work together. Again, body's the body.
Sure.
The goal, you might want to be the most flexible yogi ever, or you want to be a fucking ballerina. Doesn't matter. This guy wants to be a weightlifter, but there's something that works for both that meet in the middle. So
it might be a good opportunity to do the opposite month.
No, really. Well, it's funny. Like right now, I'm talking to someone.
I need to do that too.
Yeah. Well, I'm even talking to someone about doing movement stuff for yoga coaches, just so they know how to have their athletes create tension.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm thinking to myself like, holy shit, I never thought that would happen.
Absolutely.
Well, even as simple as like for me, who I'm very, very stiff in my wrist, right?
Yeah.
So I could, when it comes to Olympic lifting, I'm never so. But you start applying your full hand on the ground, bear crawls or crab walks, whatever it is, that's going to naturally loosen up your wrists as well for doing Olympic movement. So simple stuff like that, beyond just the shoulders and hips too, and ankle mobility, all that stuff, and just getting used to your body, like you were talking about. It's a different tension finding
for sure.
Well, yeah, I like it too because it's so natural that you could you almost like connect links in the chain.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? How if you have someone who has a weak link, well, it's because maybe there's a connection issue, a neural pathway problem, why that thing won't fire.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we could sit there and beat the shit out of it with an isometric all day.
Right.
But now, will it still work with that next muscle in the chain?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because that's the whole point of the sandbag, actually.
Yeah.
Is for the inside head of the hamstring and the glute max, for squatting and the obliques and lower abdominals, all that. So now, what's the next step?
Sure.
And I think all of a sudden, I think primitive movements or animal movements, calisthenics, whatever, could be something that would really help.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think any sort of that movement, like I said, if done correctly, I think it's all about too, like the combination of the movement. So you take one or two of those, but like I've been looking at just these basics of capoeira, you know what I mean? And it's just like the sweeping and the opening of your hips, but like along the floor. All of these little basics
those
you can
are
use
so
one
hard.
or two. They're so hard.
I felt like a big dumb gorilla trying to do. I know what you're talking about. Those are so hard.
For sure, man. But a lot of this stuff just comes, and we're not gonna, and none of us are gonna be fantastic at the capoeira thing because we're not trying to do that. But we can take one or two of those little movements.
Yeah, and it's funny you say because I remember when I was done with that stuff, how I just felt like even my lower back opened up, just everything. I was like, holy shit.
For sure.
Stretching, static stretching, trying to elongate the muscle, all that stuff, smashing. Sorry, I don't think soft tissue work is the answer. I just don't. Does it have a place?
Benefit?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I felt more relief and better off doing that. Just movement to me, movement's the answer.
Movement.
But what movement and what's the purpose? What's the intent?
Sure.
I think that is bigger than going to get a massages again. There's all these tools.
Yes.
But I think people use all the other stuff because it's easier.
100%.
You know what I'm So we're looking at a video right now of Prescott and his hip action. I actually thought about this earlier.
Yeah. So
look at how he opens up those hips.
This is the reason I bring it up. Is talking about that. Just his pre-game warm up.
Absolutely.
Is that activation of hips? When you think about what we're talking about right now, it's his way of probably that exact reason, and however he learned it.
Yeah, exactly. And how he opened up his hips there. I mean, it's ridiculous, but also at the same time, I didn't even think of it this way. A lot of those movements is all core to extremity. For what you do, most of it, right?
How about the music over that, by the way?
Yeah, why was it Christmas music?
That being advertised.
Yeah, that's way off.
I like what he's doing there. See, you might see that. Something like that right there.
Yeah.
Now it's like, because it makes sense, man. That makes sense to me when I see somebody doing that type of shit.
And funny enough, because now these other quarterbacks started enabling it, and they start doing the exact same thing.
Absolutely.
It all,
Because they're going, how the fuck is he stepping so
Because it's not
quick?
well, it's funny. Like I said, movement's core to extremity. That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
And he's the top one of, he's a really
and
good.
because he's good this year, everyone else starts doing it. It's
But so many, how many people when they think of throwing a football, baseball, whatever, they think it's all shoulder.
Yeah.
You see those guys. I think baseball has really shown how hips are important, but quarterbacks, you don't see that.
Yes.
Again, I'm not going to sit here and talk like I'm a fucking NFL coach.
Right.
But
right.
from a mechanical standpoint and everything else, it makes way more sense. So I think that's what I mean. I've said this time and time again. We don't know shit about the body. We think we do, but why is there?
Especially, I know.
Well, no, I just
know
mean
very little.
I just mean the whole industry. I don't think we've tapped into what we actually know.
Sure.
Like,
for sure.
Why are there 700 registered diets? Why is there how many different methods?
Oh my God.
We know a lot, but we still don't. I don't think we've tapped into what we'll know in the next 50 years will be really interesting.
So the thing with that and on that is like explore.
Yeah, 100%.
It's okay, and have fun, enjoy what you're doing, but explore, man.
Well, it's funny too. You look at some of the top, I don't want to say top, but people who are really recognized in the industry for different things. We all have our specialty coaches we're thinking in our brain, right? But then you start looking at the finer points. enough metal out of them, all of
Yeah.
a sudden it's kind of, they're all on the same pathway in
Sure.
some way, shape, or form, but they look at it differently.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's interesting to see.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to, like I said, the next the last 10 years has been crazy.
Yeah,
What
just
about the
growth
next
from
20?
that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And people like to interpret things that work for them better, and how they apply it to themselves too.
sure.
And that's why I have 7,000 different diets or different, formulas to gain strength or
Yep, exactly.
flexibility. But I think it's just again trying to come up with a way you can teach that what's important,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Or apply it to yourself again.
That's one thing I love about how you coach is you're so sincere, but it's so simple. I don't know how to explain it until you see it or hear it, but
Thank you.
it's one of those things where you know damn well people are attentive and they listen,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing. Like, I'm not good about that as a coach.
Sure.
Like, I just demand it. But like I coach how I was coached. I can tell at times. Like, I've had Julian actually told me is I could tell you're a college athlete because you like. There's no other way. Like,
Yeah.
what I say,
We're
dude.
about to have. Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's
for sure.
that can be a good thing and a fault. So it's
Sure.
it's definitely something that I think most coaches, myself included, could learn from. Is I don't want to say take yourself down a level, but really like talk to them through
Absolutely.
it better and just how you approach it. So
Yeah.
you want to go into that a little bit?
100%.
That's something I've noticed. I'm always like, God damn it, I need to do that. So it's different. I always loved how you do that.
Thank you. I mean, I think the one thing I used to work at a spot in the cues were really important. Like, we would always be queuing. And I don't know if that's always necessary, but I do find that when I get to a point where I can constantly like I can sort of like verbally, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know. I guess when I can be heard over and over and over again, there's sort of some sort of verbal reinforcement, but it's not like I'm commanding it. I'm just telling them what should be done, but I'm doing it over and over and over and over again. You know what I mean?
No, I do.
So it's just, to me, it's just back flat, core tight, and just constantly letting them know throughout this time that those are the things and to check yourself, because as soon as you start to fatigue, the same thing happens to everybody, right? The form just, it suffers.
Yeah.
There's no way about it. So one, I'm constantly in motion, or try to be constantly in motion, and talking, like being able to breathe and talk and let them know is probably, maybe what you're hearing is me struggling to breathe part of the time, and then like trying to cue, most of the time some sort of verbal command that's going out, that's letting you know. Like,
No, you're right. I think you reiterate all the
check
time.
this.
Kind of have almost like a checklist through each movement, like, hey, these things, and you just keep saying it and saying it. And it's good, and it just keeps people attentive, and they actually listen, and you can tell their ears are always on. And it's good. I like that.
Because I think a lot of times people just get into their own thing. You know what I mean? Whatever that is. If it's a mental blockage, or they're just physically tired, or sometimes we come in here and we just want to be at home eating pizza and drinking wine. I mean, let's not, that's what the shit is, but you're here. It's time. That's that. You've come through. There's no turning back now. So now we're in it. But as far as like the way that we speak to one another, I just think that it's constantly important that I'm sending it out there. A little reminder over and over and over again, so you get annoyed with me. But but then it is.
They know.
They know.
Yeah.
This is what I expect, and when we're doing it, this is how it should look. But that also means that I should be in the type of shape where I can always have an example for them.
For sure.
That's the importance of like this sort of movement of like me being in the kind of shape that I need to be in to do that, and maybe even a little bit quicker, like one step ahead. You know what I mean? So I can transition quickly, and then now we're going into this, and now we're going into this. This is what it should look like. This is how it should feel. Let's keep on moving, whatever it might be. So, but I appreciate you. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that, man, because that means everything. Is that when people are picking up on it, and then they're responding to it.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I see people responding to it. I mean, yeah, I feel like it's good. I feel like
they definitely do, and it's easy for a coach to say something once. I'm one of them, and then it's like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, what? I just fucking said do this. So, so like, and to me, I'm a very impatient person, depending on the day. But so that's always something I think for coaches to keep in mind. Like, they might have a million things going on in their head.
Absolutely.
It's hard to turn that off sometimes.
Absolutely.
So you got to put yourself in your athlete's shoes sometimes.
You definitely do.
Right.
And you have to individualize that a lot too. Like a lot of times, we all learn differently, right? We all take, corrective criticism differently and technique differently. So like whether it's me teaching a kid to pull left for kick-out block in football, saying just get there and go, versus breaking down how a kid's going to open up with his left foot, plant, crossover, come right after the guard's butt at an angle, and where his hitting point is, as in you getting those corrective, every single time, versus just get there, just lift it, or be explosive, and giving those techniques. If you're seeing the progress from them and it's getting better, that's obviously doing something well. Where other athletes might just need to, hey, let's go.
Sure.
No, for sure.
And everyone's different.
It's either you're reacting to it or it's just annoying you. You know what I'm saying? But one way or another, somebody's going to get that.
And I think the value as a coach is you start to learn them, you understand what works for everyone else. And you learn how you speak and coach to different people. And you can do it for everyone both ways, but you start to see how their performance increases by either slowing it down or just giving them a basic cue.
And I definitely use names every single time. You're getting called out.
And there's expectations again. That's great.
Yeah. Which is just, if it's Vonnie, whoever, get your ass down. Whatever it might be. You're too high. You're not on your feet, on your toes. But I think there's definitely a way to do that where people are going to be receptive to it. And then there's definitely a way to do that where people are going to be like, not only is it going to be harder for them to absorb that and then use it, but they're going to get salty. Maybe they feel a way about you, which is just blocking. Any sort of mental block is going to take them a step backwards. So now they're like, fuck, I'm not rotating and he's upset about what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So you're just like, But we try to just eliminate as much of that blockage as we can and just, hey, you correct it, you correct it, you correct it, you correct it, you correct it.
Yeah, kind of like there's a lot of times like, I'll tell them, what'd you do? And if they know, I'm like, well then, fucking do it. Like, if you know what you did wrong, well, let's fix it. Like, do this.
Absolutely.
So that's definitely kind of, there's a way to go about it, like not putting it on them, but if they know.
Yes.
Right? It's not like I'm calling you out, trying to make you feel bad. But let's just fix the one thing, whatever the hell it may be, and just move on. Just get better.
But I think sometimes with there's a place for that approach too.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like sometimes it's just like, dude.
Like, what are you doing?
I did say it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, we all have those athletes who kind of, I don't want to say go through the motions, but some of them go through it. It's like, hey, like, I get it, but I'm like, but sometimes you go through the motions. Again, that goes back to, what's the intent of that movement? Like, why are you doing it? Like, don't just do it to get it done. Because that is not how I coach. Like, if you're just going to do it to get it done, then
do it tomorrow.
Yeah. Do it tomorrow, go home.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like,
don't waste your time.
Yep. I could sit here and do, like, something simple. I could do 100 curls with 20 pounds. Or I could do 100 curls with 20 pounds and blow up my biceps and get extra pump. Like, that's just the stupidest simple thing.
Definitely.
How do you do it?
Yeah.
So, like, do it right.
Absolutely.
Like, and then let's move on. Yeah.
And I think, too, varying the movement a lot, too. I know that kind of sounds like, why would you vary the movement so much if you want people to catch on, like counterproductive? But I don't think it is, in that we can, like, through this exchange, I can always let them know that even though we're going into different territory, it's still okay. You know what I'm saying? And I do that. I use my voice to do that more, because the movement, some people just look at the movement and they're just like, that's it. They're turned off. There's not, either they don't like how it looks, or they're afraid to even get into it because it's something new, like we're doing like lateral rolls. But in order to do that, you have to like get this inversion going, and it feels awkward. It feels strange. So I just, if we can communicate back and forth, that I can let you know that it's okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We're good. Everything's good.
Yeah. See, you're nice about it. I'll do stuff like, well, we're gonna do eccentrics on a certain movement because I want to make sure certain muscles are working. And then the girls are like, man, this doesn't feel good. I'm like, yeah, because you've been doing it wrong. I've been yelling at you for a month. So I'll do something like an asshole to prove a point, and then they'll listen and do it right. So so everyone has their way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's nice that we have several different coaching styles.
Yes.
In one community, because
that's huge. I always say, like, I don't need another Tyler.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't like him.
Nope. Yeah. Exactly.
Right?
You hate to, who's this
Fuck that
bearded
guy.
motherfucker talking
What a
crazy?
dick. If we had imagine if we had 2 Rockies, though. That'd be awesome. Yeah.
I don't know. Too soft. Not enough yelling.
Yeah. I couldn't handle 2 Ninas, man. I hope she hears this.
Shouts out to Nina.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. 2 Tims? It couldn't happen. No.
Hard. Yep. Shouts out to Tim.
I don't need
I love those guys. They were
big
here this
Irishman
morning.
here. Well, he thinks he's Irish. He's Norwegian.
Everybody. You liar.
No, he's got blue eyes, a pointy nose. Like, come on. He's big as shit. Yeah. But no, I think that's a huge thing, too, is, coaching is kind of not even though you have a different style, is picking up those little things that can help you. Mm-hmm. Like I said with you, I pick up those. I'm like, God, I need to do that, or
Absolutely.
even like you just now talking about how you coached football. I'm like, fuck that. I can. Doesn't matter what the sport or what it is. Take those tidbits and learn.
It doesn't. It's all the same.
Yeah, exactly.
There's just maybe different ways of applying it, but movement is what you're trying to get out of this shit, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's you're more explosive, more powerful, it's not you standing there stronger. It's you applying that and trying to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. Maybe that's get the barbell overhead. Maybe that's get the muscle up. Maybe that's the touchdown. Maybe that's just the throw. Maybe that's the kick.
Yeah,
I don't know, whatever it is.
Like you said earlier, I immediately wrote it in my phone, the mission's never over. I was
never
like,
over,
that's
man.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's going to be a t-shirt.
It's just nice.
Yeah.
It's just it's not completed.
No,
Yeah.
it's not impossible. Yeah.
It's not impossible, but there's no end in sight. The mission is here now. Build. If you're building on that, build on that. If you got something else in mind, build on that. Hopefully what we do here, no matter what the goal is, we can help you get there. I think that's the ultimate goal. That's the most important thing.
I think that should be every coach's, for sure.
100, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's why I'm a little there's certain styles of training or coaching or other things I don't like. I don't want to get into it, but really quick, I just don't like the exploitation in the fitness industry. We all know what we're talking about, right? Like, I don't like the exploitation in the industry, and it sucks because there's a lot of money in it now. Like, I think in the next 2 years, there's supposed to be like 2.2 billion growth.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Are you just talking about the number of coaches and fitness experts and?
Well, that and just how they're just feeding you bullshit, supplements and even certain types of training and this and buy this fucking shake weight. That's obviously an extreme example, but you get what I'm saying.
It fits. There are some things where you're like, what? Like, why do you even think that that's going to help you improve?
Yeah, but then they make money off because people want a quick pill.
Of course.
They want a quick fix.
Of course.
So that's why, right? Yeah, and that's one thing I love. Like a
little
gym, it doesn't have to be this one, or where you walk in and they're there to do the real fucking thing,
man.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like even though your training is totally different, like that's the real shit. Like you just know as a coach, right? Even like people who are training that way.
Yeah.
That's why I can't stand going. I can't stand going to fucking Lifetime. Like, it drives me fucking nuts.
Well, that's how sometimes the best marketing is the actual results.
Sure.
For sure.
That's always the best marketing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You gotta answer practicing what you preach. You know what I mean? Like you guys were speaking on that earlier. It's like the reason people can come in here and stand in front of you and do this movement 100 times is because you're legit.
Yeah.
Period. You've been through it. You know what it's like to lift that. You know what it feels like when you're high. You know what it feels like when you're low. And so when you're explaining that to somebody, it's not because you read it. It's because you felt it. You know it well.
Exactly.
You've played on the field and you've been hit. You've probably been knocked the fuck out. Maybe. Probably. Right? I mean, everybody has.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you know what I mean? You've been in front of the barbell 100 times, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. You know what it's supposed to feel like. And when you can tell a person this is how it should feel, even though that's hard to explain sometimes, it's like when you know that you've had that feeling, then it helps you to,
especially as a
get
coach,
down to
when you
that
see their
feeling.
eyes just get all fucking big because they know they had that moment. Like, that's it. Stay with it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's rewarding as hell.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Absolutely, man.
So if people want to get a hold of you or find you, are you on social media at all? Can they learn more about you?
Hell no, but his wife is.
I have absolutely no social media.
None.
None.
So when do they got to show up at Torque Barbell to watch you teach a class? What time is probably most convenient?
I do a 5:30 a.m. on Tuesday and a 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, so a split, and then the same thing on Thursday, 5:30 a.m., 6:30 p.m. Then we do 2 classes Saturday morning, one at 8, one at 9.
Yep.
And the one at 9 is a little more combat driven, I guess, but it's very light. It's always a beginner's class or open to all skill levels, and we're just using movement. That's all. We're not training to fight. We're using movement, but we do have some contact, and we are grappling. The other classes are torture, and that's the kind of the fusion format that we've been discussing. I won't try to explain it any further than I already have, but if you want to try something perhaps that you haven't tried before, and you probably haven't tried this combination of different things because it's always changing, come in. See us, check Tyler out, myself, you, my man,
We'll have some links. Maybe that's how we do it, is put a link to the program and stuff like that. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Come check it out. Have fun with us.
That was awesome, Rock.
Yeah, thanks for
Seriously,
that was great.
that was awesome.
Really?
That was awesome.
Cool, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
That was good.